The following is a Bearded Broadcaster Productions podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. It's another episode of Breakfast Time with Waffle and Richard. Glad to be back after a Christmas break, an extended Christmas break. And Waffle, adult life is hard, and it's been a lot busy since Christmas break for us. So this is why it's taken a while for us to get this episode and recording it kind of late. So this one's going to be a little bit shorter one. If you're going to watch this episode, you get the intro and the outro, and that's all the fancy edits you get. But no, we're glad to be back with y'all. Discuss a lot going on with our teams. But Waffle, how was your Christmas, man?
My Christmas was good. I really enjoyed it. I got some time to go down and spend with my mom, and it was good. The gifts were cool, and it was just nice to get away from work for a minute.
I understand that. As we got back, we had a game on New Year's Day, and that was hectic in its own sense. But
yeah,
it's just been full steam ahead for college athletics, Carson Newman. So
yeah,
it's been a lot of fun to deal with. But we'll continue on, and we'll get ready. We'll just dive right into it. And, of course, this weekend is the NFL playoffs. And when we left you, we had 4 weeks left in the regular season, and the Bills were coming in at 7-6 into those final 4 games. And we're just lost 2 straight, a heartbreaker to New England in just the worst weather imaginable, and then an absolute dagger against the Tampa Bay Bucks, come all the way back, but fall in overtime to Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. But I told you the last 4 games were all winnable, and they had to win the big road game. Their only road game in that stretch was at New England. They start off with the Carolina Panthers. They shut them down. Offense doesn't look great, but they shut down the Panthers because the Panthers offense with Sam Darnold and Cam Newton. Cam Newton started this game, and he looks horrible.
Yes,
he's washed. Cam Newton absolutely washed. The last pick of the game, so Carolina had a drive to kind of try to cut the score down to at least 10, and Cam Newton throws it right at the defender. I think it was Micah Hyde, throws it right to him, and Micah Hyde just falls out. That seals the game. Yeah. So Bills win that one. Then they have to go to New England, take on the Patriots. Tough place to play, and Josh Allen goes 30 of 47, 314 yards, 3 touchdowns. And Isaiah McKenzie with 11 catches, 125 yards, and a touchdown. There was no Gabe Davis. There was no Cole Beasley for this game because of COVID protocols.
Mm-hmm.
And Isaiah McKenzie became the number 1 target for Josh Allen this game. That was his breakout game. He had talked about he was frustrated he wasn't getting the ball enough, and he showed out against New England and led them to a win. And Mac Jones, the Bills defense made Mac Jones, who's had a great season up until the last couple of weeks, made him look human. 14 of 32, 149 yards, and 2 picks. Also was sacked once. Damian Harris got his 18 carries, 103 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's fine. But when the Patriots can't pass, they're not as dangerous. And the Bills defense really shut down the passing attack of Mac Jones, and that got them the leg up on the Patriots in the division standings, because the tiebreaker for that was going to be common opponents. Bills swept the Dolphins. They had to win their last game against the Jets to complete that sweep. And, of course, the Patriots have lost to the Dolphins but swept the Jets. So they move on to the next week. They take on the Falcons in the snow, a snow game, always fun. Not fun for the Bills' offense. They looked bad against the Falcons, whose defense is not great. Josh Allen threw 3 picks in this game, but I've told y'all every week in, week out, someone besides Josh Allen has to be the rushing attack. And Devin Singletary, 23 carries, 110 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And there we go. The Bills finally get a rushing attack. They come from behind. They were down 15-14 because of a muffed punt that led to a safety. Weirdest play I've seen. Jake Kumaro got that pick up in the end zone, by the way. And then the Bills had that 14-2 lead. I was pulling for this game to finish. It was 14-5 at one point, and I was like, everybody stop scoring. I want that to be the final.
Yeah.
I was pulling for it. Stupid. But no, the Dolphins. Falcons scored to come back and take a lead in the halftime. Devin Singletary, like I said, had a great second half. Bills defense showed back up, and they won 29-15. They held Matt Ryan to under 200 yards passing. Again, snow game. You got to think about that, but still, good job by defense. So, final week of the season, they clinch a playoff spot because the Ravens beat the Rams. Or the Rams beat the Ravens, to knock the Ravens out of playoff contention. So, the Bills clinch a spot, and then they can clinch, of course, a home game if they win or if the Patriots lose. And when you're in that situation, you just want to go ahead and get the win.
Right.
Plus, also, it gives you a little bit of a higher seed because I think if they would have lost and would have won the division, they would have been the 4 seed. If they would have won, they would have been the 3 seed because the tiebreaker with the Bengals or somebody. I can't remember how it goes. I think it was the Bengals. And then they get the Jets. And, of course, the Jets are absolute garbage.
Mm-hmm.
And this game was kind of close, 13-10 going into the 4th. Again, Bills' offense starts off great, kind of slows down. But then Devin Singletary, once again, had a rushing touchdown and then had a pass reception for a touchdown. Josh Allen had a good day. And the Bills, win these last 4 games, again, without their best defensive player in Trey White.
Mm-hmm.
Bumped up, banged up offense for the second half because of COVID. And then with just a rushing attack that finally got going, the Bills finished 11-6 and are AFC East champions for the 2nd straight season. That's insane. Had the number 1 defense in the NFL with the rankings, and they're not good enough to get anybody in the Pro Bowl, though.
Yeah.
Which is, insane to me.
Pro Bowl's stupid. I'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah. Pro Bowl, stupid for that. But, hey, Bills, all in all, after starting off 4-1, looking like the 1 seed, and then of course, bumping it down the stretch, but finally finishing up strong, 11-6. You get a home game in the playoffs, and it's, of course, against the great foe that will not give you any stress at all, the New England Patriots. On Saturday night, in the snow again, like it was the first time. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there. But again, for the Bills, I think great season. What's disappointing is that the Bills, every single loss except for the loss to the Colts, is a 1-score game.
Yeah.
So they had a chance to go 16-1.
Mm-hmm.
Very real chance to go 16-1, which is kind of heartbreaking. If they would have won that game against the Titans, they would be the 1 seed.
Yeah, that's true.
And would have a bye this week, too. So that game we watched way back early in the season meant a whole lot down the stretch.
Yeah, it did.
Which is crazy to think about. How big these games really are. But, the Bills, again, some people are going to be disappointed, but, hey, you've seen where the Bills have been before in the past.
Yeah.
Where they're not even sniffing the playoffs, where by the last 3 weeks, they're just playing for draft seeding.
Right.
But now, they have the 2 division titles back-to-back. Josh Allen, I think, he's still developing, but I think he's taking a little bit of step back from last year, but I think he's still solid. But again, that rushing attack has finally come to life for the Bills, and they look pretty good going to the playoffs. And again, tough first round matchup, and then after that, it might be the Chiefs. So that could be another tough matchup.
Yeah.
If you win, and of course the Chiefs handle business against the Steelers. We'll talk about them, of course, later, and how the seeding is and all that goes. So.
Yeah.
Again, could be tough. It'll be a tough stretch for the Bills if they want to just get to the AFC Championship game. But this team is getting things are going right at the right time for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree. I think the Bills, like coming in the last pod we did, they were coming off the back-to-back losses, and even though offense hasn't, looked completely, their full potential for those last 4 weeks. They got, excuse me, they got 4 wins. So I think that's as big as a morale boost as you could ask for. And then, like you said, getting better at the right time. I mean, this is obviously do or die time now. So we all know how good Josh Allen can be, and that I single-handedly believe that if he is on, and he is really on, like he can carry them to beat just about anybody when he's playing his best. So yeah, definitely dangerous team coming into the playoffs as long as, offense keeps rolling, keep the running game, doing well, and Josh Allen out there making crazy plays and doing his thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, they can get that running game going, which they have, starting to work and starting to look pretty good going down the stretch in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll move over, before we talk full playoffs, we'll talk about the Tennessee Titans and Waff, the 1 seed.
The 1 seed.
AFC are the Tennessee Titans, thanks to a dominant stretch toward the end of the season. But there was a bumpy loss in the road on the way there. But it kind of wraps up the last 4 weeks of the season for the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, so last 4 weeks of the season, last time we talked to you on the pod was coming off a 20-0 win over the Jaguars that Tennessee desperately needed because they had lost 2 of their – well, excuse me. Yeah, they were coming off 2 straight losses, one to a bad Texans team, and then we got trounced by the Patriots. So after having such a great stretch going 5-0 against the Rams, Chiefs, Colts, whoever, Saints, coming out and beating the Jaguars 20-0 with still a lot of people out, a lot of weapons gone. What was nice. And then so we came into a game where it was at Pittsburgh, which we knew is always tough, no matter how Pittsburgh is. Like, you have to go to Pitt to play them. It's going to be hard. And there's a lot of old-fashioned rivalry type stuff between these two teams with Tennessee and Pittsburgh, which it was ironic. The last time that Tennessee was a 1 seed was in 2008, and they had a massive win over the Steelers late in that season to help secure the 1 seed. So, a lot of symbolism here, and you're thinking like, oh my gosh, this is our chance to do it again. And Tennessee comes out against Pittsburgh and gets out to a 13-3 lead at halftime. And just keep in mind, like I've said it all year, like I'm not making excuses, but keep in mind what Tennessee is working with is 3 receivers: Nick Westbrook-Akina, Chester Rogers, and Cody Hollister.
Yeah.
That's it. Julio Jones did play. He pulled up, got hurt very early, only got 1 target. Okay, whatever. That's what we've come to expect out of Julio to that point. Anyways, 13-3 at halftime. We're sitting pretty, and then we don't score a point in the second half. We lose 19-13. So, it hit the fan. It did, and that was just a debilitating loss there. But Tennessee was able to weather the storm and come out on a short week playing Thursday Night Football against the San Francisco 49ers, and Ryan Tannehill was getting back his best passing weapon, and that was A.J. Brown, who was coming back off of IR, and A.J. Brown had himself a night. What a return back to form for A.J. Brown, as he hauled in 11 catches for 145 yards and a touchdown, single-handedly winning this game for Tennessee, putting on a great performance and weathering another fantastic performance from somebody who has really stepped into the limelight in Deebo Samuel from the 49ers. Go Gamecocks. And so, but Tennessee's leading rusher was Jeremy McNichols. They really couldn't run the ball very well against them, but Ryan Tannehill was able to sling it around for 209 yards and a touchdown. And then, like I said, A.J. Brown was dang near unstoppable in this game. Titans got the win 20-17. So now Tennessee coming into the next week, their magic number at that point had been 1 to, clinch the division over the Colts, who at this point in the season were surging. Colts looking right in the media. They're the media darlings. Everybody's talking about them. Tennessee had to beat the Dolphins, who were the other team that was surging after starting 1-7. The Dolphins coming into this game were now 8-7, 7 straight wins. And
at that point, they were in the playoffs.
Yes. Yeah. And so we'll talk about what transpired with the Dolphins season a little bit later too, which is ridiculous. But Tennessee comes out, gets back, has A.J. Brown available. And then I want to say, no, not even Julio Jones, just A.J. Brown. Yeah. Deontay Foreman. This was Deontay Foreman's coming out party. If it wasn't against New England,
was this one?
that gets overshadowed because the one against New England, we obviously lost and we turned it over 3 or 4 times and we got killed. But Foreman had over 100 yards. Deontay Foreman went full Derrick Henry mode, 26 carries, 132 yards and a touchdown, carried this team on his back. Ryan Tannehill added 2 easy touchdown passes after some good field position. We hounded Tagovailoa all day. He was 18 to 38, 205 yards, no touchdowns and a pick. Miami couldn't run the ball. So Tennessee comes out, wins 34-3 to wrap up the AFC South. A dominant performance by Tennessee, but they needed some help. Tennessee's got the division locked up, so you know you're going to be a top 4 seed. You will have a home playoff game, but somehow, some way, the 1 seed was still available because the Bengals beat the Chiefs at such a crazy game.
I had a
unreal game.
That was at that game. He said that's the craziest football game he has seen live. And
I know that place was rocking.
Oh, yeah.
I could feel it on the TV.
Yeah.
But Bengals beat the Chiefs. So what does that mean? Tennessee just has to beat Houston. And Tennessee is the 1 seed for the first time since 2008. So we come into week 18. Now, going into this game, I fully expected it to be a dogfight. In no way, shape, or form did I think Tennessee was going to come out here and bulldoze Houston, because that's just not how it goes. Division rivals, it's just not how it goes. Tennessee comes out, bulldozes them in the second quarter, 21-0 at halftime. Davis Mills shows up, and I've said this a couple times. Look, I'm dead serious when I say this. Other than Matt Jones, Davis Mills is the next best rookie in this class.
Yeah, because
I fully believe that.
Yeah, and we can get into Trevor Lawrence. Kind of got screwed with his position, and
right.
And Justin Fields kind of got screwed with both of them was coaches.
Yeah.
But if you look just straight up this year, stat wise, Davis Mills, other than that first Bills game where he got thrown to the fire,
right,
against one of the best defense in the league.
Yeah.
After that, he's played very well.
Yeah, he has shown them. Let me put it this way. Stats and the eye test have shown me this year compared to the other rookie quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, whatever, Trey Lance, he has the most, I'm going to give me the ball and I'm going to throw for 300 yards ability.
Yeah. I mean,
no matter if they win or not, I'm talking about strictly about just him throwing that pigskin.
I mean,
he can do it with nobody.
2,664 yards, 16 touchdowns, 10 picks. That's not horrible from where you started.
No, and as a rookie,
he didn't throw a single pick against the Titans. That's solid defense right there.
Right. And so back to the original point, he turns it on the second half. Our defense just fuddy-duddies around, whatever you want to call it. And the Texans score a touchdown in the third quarter to make it 21-7 on a trick play, running gadget plays because they can't beat us straight up. And then, which is a lie because they did beat us straight up back in early in the season. But, field goal by Kaimi Fairbairn makes it 21-10 going to the fourth quarter. Oh, and then they get the ball back because Tennessee goes 3 straight 3-and-outs in the second half. Oh, here we are again. Great. And by the way, we have everybody back. Julio's back, blah, 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 whatever. Well, not everybody, but we'll get to that in a minute. But Danny Amendola turns back the clock like he's not 47 years old.
What was this? He came back.
Catches a 7-yard touchdown pass and then catches the 2-point conversion to make it 21-18 because why not go for 2? You're the Texans. You have 4 wins. And then God blesses us. Julio Jones. First touchdown catches the Tennessee Titans about freaking time, and it couldn't have come at a better time. Tennessee goes on an 8-play, 75-yard drive with a 3-yard touchdown pass to Julio Jones to make it 28-18. But then here comes Danny Amendola and Davis Mills again, 26-yard pass. It's 28-25. Tennessee gets the ball back, runs the clock out, but Ryan Tannehill makes one of the best plays I've seen this season. Guy for the Texans, I can't remember the name, but it's third down. It's 3rd and long, and Tennessee's on the verge of another 3-and-out in a dire situation with the Texans looking to get the ball back with a hot hand in Mills and Amendola. And it's 3rd down. Ryan Tannehill straight up the middle. Dude just comes and smacks Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill stays on his feet, bounces off the for sure sack, rolls out, hits Nick Westbrook-Akina for about a 30-yard gain. Shades of Steve McNair in the Super Bowl against the Rams, which obviously the biggest play from that game is the final play where Titans come up 1 yard short. But the play before that was a Steve McNair scramble all the way around the field, and he finds Dyson or whoever down there, which set up that final play. But
yeah,
it was beautiful. It was unreal. And Titans grinded out, get the win. Titans are the 1 seed in the AFC. Appreciate the progression from where we have been. Mm-hmm. First, I want to say this. Tennessee, 6 straight winning seasons. The only other team that can say that is the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, yes, 9-7 is a winning season. I know it's close, but it is a winning season.
I mean, counts.
Yeah, I count it. And six of them, 6 straight. Mm-hmm. But the progression, 3 years ago, when Derrick Henry won his first rushing title, the Titans had a win and in scenario because they weren't going to win the division. They just had to beat Houston, and they got in the playoffs. And they did that. Derrick Henry ran for 200-something yards. He won the rushing title. Tennessee gets in the playoffs. Last year, we had a win our last game of the season, and we win the division.
Yeah.
Against Houston. And we did that. Sam Sloman, legend, kicked the game-winning field goal. I had COVID, felt like death, felt great after that kick. This year, last game of the season, it is win, and you're the 1 seed. Appreciate the progression that we've been from every year. Love it. It's been a wild ride being a fan of this team for all the years I have. But here we are, and we're the freaking 1 seed. And like, if there's a year that something can happen for Tennessee, I feel like it's going to be this year. But I'm not getting ahead of myself. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that they're going to make the Super Bowl because I'm not a person to do that. You know, I don't bet on my teams. But things are looking good. Tennessee will get the first round bye coming up this week, and they will await the lowest remaining seed. But a heck of a job by Mike Vrabel, man. If he's not coach of the year, something's wrong. Like I'm 100% biased, but I'm also 100% when I think unbiasedly. Like, there's no way he's not coach of the year. Are you kidding me? Used over 90 players this year, and still was able to get the 1 seed. Lost your whole team. Mm-hmm. Your whole team in week 8 when Derrick Henry went down, and everybody wrote you off. Everybody from Stephen A. Smith, Colin Cowherd, all the big wigs. Titan season's done. 12-5, number 1 seed.
Yeah.
Mic drop.
Yeah, absolutely great job to just keep that team together. That team could just fall apart and go like, well, that's our offense. We're done. See ya.
Right.
Especially, some of those tough losses. They had a tough loss to the Patriots, that tough loss to the Steelers.
Texans, Jags.
Texans, Jets. They could
not the Jags, Jets, sorry.
Yeah, Jets could fall apart in some of those tough losses. But like I said, they stuck with it and were able to roll through 3 straight big wins and got some helped them out, and they were able to take advantage of it. So, that guys got to give up for the Titans. Just a heck of a job by them, and, get that bye, which is huge because I think, I saw on the other side of the NFC, Packers clinched the 1 seed, of course. Yeah. They have a lot of guys that are going to come back for them with that extra week. Right. I think Randall Cobb being one of them. And so now, of course, you see Derrick Henry's back in practice.
Right. That's the one thing I hadn't touched on yet. Mm-hmm. So coming into, I believe it was the game against it was after the Dolphins. So this past week, there was the rumors were starting to flow that this is the time. Derrick Henry is nearing being ready to return. And we could see him get activated any minute now. They did. He went back to practice. He looks good. Obviously, the day that they announced it, I was frothing at the mouth over Derrick Henry practice videos. And then there was a chance he could play against Houston. Ultimately, they shut that down, which is fine. I mean, I see both sides of it. I would probably like to have him out there and have him get 10 carries and not just throw him in the middle of it in the playoffs, but he's Derrick Henry. I think he's going to be fine.
Yeah. It
doesn't matter. But Derrick Henry will be ready and will be available in 2 weeks for the playoff game. Bye week's huge. Give him another week just to heal up. Get him ready. And Titans are going to be going from the most injured team all year, which is debatable. Ravens were very injured as well. But Titans used 91 players. Derrick Henry coming back. Julio back looking better. Julio had a very good day against the Texans, caught his first touchdown pass. He was running routes good. if everything's coming together, these players were the Titans, a healthy Titans team in the playoffs. I know I'm biased. A healthy Titans team is a tough out for whoever they play, no matter what it is. But getting healthy at the right time, Derrick Henry's going to be back. I'm ecstatic. I'm so freaking ready. I'm so excited for the divisional round. But anyway, we will talk briefly about Week 18 just to kind of catch up on that. First, I want to start with the games that didn't mean anything. So, Chiefs Broncos really didn't mean a whole lot. Chiefs, if the Chiefs won and the Titans lost, obviously Chiefs would have got the 1 seed. Chiefs did win. Played kind of shoddy against the Broncos team led by Drew Lock, which is kind of surprising. This defense has been really good all season, and now the last couple of weeks the Chiefs defense is letting them down. So
yeah,
maybe
they get that big scoop and score that won the game. So
yes, that's more. To me, that's more Broncos ineptitude.
Oh yeah, that was more Broncos screwing up.
He came free through the middle. Yeah. Nobody touched him.
You like died on that play.
Yeah, but Chiefs get the win. They lock up a 2 seed. Cowboys, Eagles, both teams already in the playoffs. This game didn't mean a whole lot.
Yeah, I think
Cowboys
everybody. So
yeah, Cowboys freaking rolled. Eagles had a lot of guys out due to COVID, which is good for them. Get it out last week. That way they'll be ready for the playoffs this week. But they rolled 51-26.
Yeah, Gardner Minshew started this game, so the Eagles really didn't care a whole lot.
Browns, Bengals. Browns were already out of the playoffs. Bengals had already wrapped up the NFC North, so they rested Joe Burrow. They took the L. Browns got the win 21-16. Browns finally shut down Baker. He's going to get surgery. They should have done that weeks ago.
Yeah.
There's no reason he should have kept playing this year. I love the heart, and I love, his drive to get out there and play, but I think it hurt them more than it helped them. So I'm
interested to see because I feel like that relationship's kind of falling apart a little bit in the front office staff. I feel like they were butt heads.
Yeah.
And so it'll be interesting to see what happens next year, kind of if it's like an Aaron Rodgers situation where they're just kind of butting heads the entire time.
Yeah. Packers, Lions. Packers already wrapped up the 1 seed in the NFC. So Rodgers played first half, sat second half for Jordan Love. Lions, look, this is – I really mean this. At 3-13-1, I really think this was a good season for the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. Maybe not necessarily with Jared Goff, but I mean, look at the wide receivers that have emerged for them. With Amon-Ra St. Brown and then Khalif Raymond getting a lot of stuff. He's a former Titan. He had 4 receptions for 101 yards, and Amon-Ra St. Brown had 8 receptions for 109 yards. Like, I think combined with with Dan Campbell being the type of guy he is, and just you've seen it all year. No, the Lions were bad. We know that. But they fought for him and they played. And they didn't give up. They had a lot of games. They had some games where they came back. They had, obviously their first win of the season was against oh my gosh, who was it against? It was against the Vikings, and like they stayed in that one, won that one. They drubbed the Arizona Cardinals, and then they get a win over the 1 seed in the Packers. Now, obviously, it was without Aaron Rodgers, but still, I think this Lions team has a lot of potential, and I do like Dan Campbell a lot.
Counting the tie, 8 one-score games.
Yeah, they're right there.
If they win those, say they win all of those, they're 11-6, and they are the 6th seed in the East. Or in the NFC. They're knocking San Francisco down 1 and knocking Philadelphia out. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, they would be playing this week. So I think, the record's not great. And I know Dan Campbell, from what I've heard, he doesn't like losing, of course, and he knows that the record's not great. Right. But at least your team fought for you the entire year. Yeah, they played hard for him, and he freaking loves those players. Yep. If they can get a couple more pieces, if they can draft the right guys, I think the Lions. We don't know what Rodgers is going to do. Rodgers may be gone out of the division next year. Yeah. If they can get that to happen, and the Packers can be down for a bit, I think they have a good shot. Yeah, I have an interesting question to propose. What is more significant, that the Lions were able to win 3 games and tie 1 game, or basically like what you saw from the Lions was so good, but what you saw from the Vikings was so disappointed with all the talent they have? What's more significant? I would argue the Vikings being worse is more significant and more
more disappointing than it is that the Lions were good, if that makes sense. But
yeah, I mean, Vikings of Justin Jefferson is one of the best wide receivers in the league. Have two of the monster Alexander Madison, Dalvin Cook, Kirk Cousins when he's on.
Right. They have a quarterback that is competent and is good. He might not show up in prime time, but they have a quarterback that's better than half the league, I would say.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's top 16 quarterbacks, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's disappointing. And, at least the next game on here, it didn't matter. Minnesota beats Chicago. Who cares?
Right. Yeah. So, Vikings did beat the Bears. This was the swan song for Mike Zimmer and also Matt Nagy, which two firings that I think should have happened. Maybe not Matt Nagy as much because he hadn't been there as long, but Zimmer should have been fired a while ago.
Yeah, Zimmer, disappointing. I think we talked about the Vikings one-score games earlier this year, too. Mm-hmm. They finished 8-9. They had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Every single loss except for that loss to the Packers 2 weeks ago was a one-score game. So
right there. And they've got all the talent in the world, man.
Yep.
Crazy. But they beat the Bears 31-17. Not much to say there. Washington and the Giants, this game meant absolutely nothing. Washington won 22-7. The best thing I'm going to give you from this game was that the Giants ran a quarterback sneak on 3rd and 9.
From their own 4.
From their own 4 because they suck.
Yeah.
And this was also the swan song for Joe Judge. Get out.
I had no idea what JoJo's looked like until I saw a picture of him when he got fired. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I had no idea what he looked like.
He sucks.
Yeah, that's a good reason.
He'll be Alabama's next offensive coordinator when Bill O'Brien gets picked up by somebody. Please God, be the Jags. Please God, be the Jags.
No. Yeah, Giants, man. I think they've had 5? They haven't been over 500 in 5 years.
Yeah,
they haven't been over 500. Some teams go 2-1 at some point. You can go 1-0 easy. You just got to win your first game.
Right.
That's a fluke sometimes.
Yeah.
And they've never been over 500 in 5 years. That's awful.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. Some other games that didn't matter. Seahawks, Cardinals. Cardinals are, I guess it did matter. But Cardinals basically had to win and the Rams had to lose in order for the Cardinals to win the division. But the Cardinals couldn't even beat a hapless Seahawks team that has limped their way to 7-10. So Cardinals are an anomaly. They start out so good, and then Cliff Kingsbury just can't do it down the stretch. I don't get it. But Seahawks could be the last time we see Russell Wilson in a Seahawks jersey.
I know he missed some games too, but didn't have a bad year this year. 3,113 yards, 25 touchdown passes, and 6 interceptions. He got sacked a bunch though.
Yeah.
So and that's why he wants out, because they are not giving him an offensive line. Could be. I'm waiting for it to be Pete Carroll's swan song. I want Pete Carroll to decide what he's going to do.
Yeah, that's true. There is a chance it could be over for him, but I think the last thing I heard was he's pretty sure he's going to coach again next year, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he could retire and do whatever he wants. He's got that money.
Yeah. And then the other game, the Panthers, 3-0, finished 5-12.
Sam Darnold looks so good. Matt
Rule still has a job.
Yeah, that's
the worst part of this. And I want to talk about coaches after this briefly, but that's ridiculous. I don't understand that. Some of the decisions, and it's so stupid. If you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterback. This is the NFL. Stop it.
I watched the Panthers. I think it was their game against the Bucs. The first time they played the Bucs a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And they tried that 2 quarterback stuff. Sam Darnold comes in for his first series, throws a 64-yard bomb.
Yeah.
Pass, gets into the red zone. And then they put in Cam Newton and run 3 straight run plays.
Dumb.
3 straight read option for our RPOs or some kind of runs. Dumbest thing, had to kick a field goal. You're not setting your team up when you have to change the entire system.
Yeah.
2 plays, every other play. It's the dumbest thing ever. And I don't know if Cam's going to play anywhere else, because they saw that, it clearly hasn't worked the past 2 years.
Who the heck would want him?
If New York Giants are desperate, that's about the only team I could see winning, because like we said, I think Davis Mills is a good option.
Yeah.
So, Only team I can see that desperately needs a quarterback would be the Giants.
Yeah. But Buccaneers take care of business. They were already in the playoffs. So 41-17. All right.
Gronk got that bonus because he had 137 yards receiving. So
yep. All right. So games that meant something. Let's start Falcons Saints. This meant something to the Saints because if they won and they got some help by San Francisco losing, they got in the playoffs. Saints took care of business 30-20. Okay. So Saints sitting, waiting, whatever. And then 49ers Rams. This was a big one. Rams could lock up the division with a win, and the 49ers were fighting for their lives. This was a playoff game for the 49ers because if they didn't win it, they're sitting at home on the couch. And Matthew Stafford threw the game away again. Stat Padford just,
they're up 21-3 at halftime.
Yeah, blew it, absolutely blew it. And the 49ers came back, win, ending the Saints' playoff hopes, eliminated 49ers in, Saints out. Rams got a gift from Seattle by Rams losing. That means Cardinals win. They'd have won the division. Nope, Cardinals couldn't take care of business because they somehow suck. And Rams still win the division. So, hooray.
By the way, Jawan Jennings had a good day for the 49ers. I hear Vern's voice.
Yes.
Every time on that Hail Mary.
Yes.
Jawan Jennings.
My job.
Every time he catches a touchdown pass or he gets his name called out, I hear that. So, good to see he called a touchdown pass from Deebo Samuel in this game, too. By the way, he got it up. That's just a wild sentence to say. Deebo Samuel has been the offense for the 49ers.
Yes, he has.
To see him.
Side note, thinking of Jawan Jennings and Butch Jones, I hope Butch Jones had a terrible Christmas. I just hope he did.
That's Arkansas State coach Butch Jones. Arkansas State was terrible.
I hope he had a horrible Christmas.
I think they went like 3-9 too. So he's having a horrible Thanksgiving, Christmas.
Beautiful.
In Jonesboro.
We love that. Patriots, Dolphins. We already heard about the Bills. Obviously, if the Bills would have lost, Patriots would have won. They would have won the division. But the Bills won, so it really didn't matter anyway. But the Patriots lost anyway. Dolphins finished 9-8 after starting 1-7. Unreal. And they fired Brian Flores. It make sense. I don't get that.
So, we talk about the love the players had for Dan Campbell and fought for him. It went 3-13. The Lions could have had every right to fire Dan Campbell after 1 year, but they didn't because they saw other players still fought for it.
Right.
We talk about the Panthers. Matt Rule still has a job. Actually, let's go. Vic Fangio got fired from the Broncos. Broncos were in the playoff race up till the final weeks of the season. And he got fired. Now, again, he had past results where he got screwed over. I get
his
that.
His offense sucked. He never did anything about it.
I get that. But they fired him. Matt Rule starts off 3-0 and finishes 5-12. And you could tell that team didn't care.
Mm-mm.
That team did not care. They didn't want to be out there. And they're looking right now, like, yeah, this is the guy. We're one piece away. You went 2-12 down the stretch.
Right.
And like we said, the Dolphins could have quit, probably should have quit when they were 1-8 or 1-7, whatever.
Yeah, 1-7.
1-7. They could have given up and died. And they went out there with a banged-up offensive line, Tua Tagovailoa, who's the weirdest quarterback ever. I have no idea if he's good at the NFL level because he is so up and down sometimes. But they went out there with a busted O-line, a weird quarterback that they're not sure if he's a future or not. Not a great receiving core, and a good defensive line, but not a great defensive line. And they won 7 straight, and if it wasn't for a loss to the Titans, would be in the playoffs.
Right, yeah. If it's not rainy and cold and miserable in Nashville that day, and the Dolphins are able to make a game out of it, they are in the playoffs.
And I think Brian Flores is coach of the year if he gets them to the playoffs. They'd be 10-7.
I do. I respectfully disagree with that statement.
I get that.
He would be second.
There'd just be two. You'd have your two choices for coach of the year.
Right.
And those regulars are great, 24-25. And I think this is the second straight year the Dolphins have started off horrible, but ended strong. And I guess they want consistency with how good the two best teams in the East are.
Yeah.
But again, you could look up at the Jets and see it's a lot worse.
Right.
Looking in your own state, look over at Jacksonville. It's a lot worse.
Yeah.
What could be. I don't understand the move. A lot of players were not happy about it, and rightfully so. And now, again, they were wanting to get Deshaun Watson. The only reason Deshaun Watson wanted to come was Brian Flores. So if you want to go get him, which, again, we don't know how good he's going to be after not sitting out this year.
Yeah.
But if you're wanting to go get him to be your quarterback in the future,
right,
he's probably not coming now.
But watch this. Watch Brian Flores get hired by Houston, and Deshaun stays in Houston.
Yeah. By the way, I want to talk about that Houston one. I don't know if they set up Dave Colley for success at that one.
He got shafted.
Yeah,
100%
got shafted. Like
100%. I thought with what he was given, this is a bad Texas team. Your franchise quarterback, your generational talent is not playing for a plethora of reasons. And with what he was given Tyrod Taylor, who got hurt, of course he did. He always gets hurt for whatever reason, whether it be himself or somebody else. And then you got Davis Mills, got the best I think you could have got out of him. A team just with no talent, and they even gave away Zach Cunningham, who ended up being a Titan. And it's your
first year about JJ Watt too.
Yeah, and they only won 4 games. I get that, but with what he was given, he competed. And they played, and they almost beat Tennessee twice, which it is a divisional rivalry. So I mean, I get that, but they trounced the Chargers.
Yeah.
Like
there were glimmers where you're like, if this team gets a couple more pieces, they can be decent.
Yeah.
Like they lost by 3 points to the Patriots.
Yeah.
They were in it against the Dolphins. They lost by 7 to the Jets. And then of course they played the Titans close that second time and beat them once.
Yeah. They freaking competed with nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing.
So
maybe a case could be made for the barest roster in the NFL next to like the Jags or the Lions, I guess, before some guys emerge.
But like that's the job of the GM too.
Right. I mean, that's not all his fault.
Like you shouldn't be looking at Rob McNair if you're going to fire anybody.
We all knew what kind of situation it was going to be, even if they had Deshaun Watson, like it was going to be tough.
Exactly. Like with Deshaun Watson, maybe you win 7 games. Maybe 8, and you're looking at least on the outside, looking in, kind of like the Dolphins were at a playoff spot. But
yeah,
I mean, I don't get it. I think they just wanted somebody to take the blame.
Yeah,
and they looked at David Colley, first year head coach, and got him. I hope he goes somewhere and does really good because he deserves a whole lot better. Because again, that team played for him. That team played well for him. It just didn't work out.
Right.
And it's 1 year. It's 1 year, I think, too. I think that's a big thing, too. 1 year with an empty cupboard to get 4 wins is a miracle. So.
Right. He's still owed a lot of money, though, so he is sitting pretty, though.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah. All right. So the last couple games, these were all very, very important. We'll start with the Steelers and the Ravens. On the outside looking in, coming into Week 18, but there was a small chance. And when I say small, very minuscule. Steelers, Ravens. Steelers eke out an overtime victory over their longtime hated rival, the Baltimore Ravens, 16-13, putting Pittsburgh waiting to see the result of a 1:00 game between America's team. I'm not talking about the Cowboys. I'm talking about the media darling Indianapolis Colts and the worst team in the NFL, who got led on by Urban Meyer, fired him. It's been a roller coaster.
And by the way, their fans for this game were all dressed up as clowns to protest.
Yes.
Shad Khan and the whole team.
The sheer ineptitude of Jacksonville, like 2017 was a complete fluke.
Absolutely.
AFC Championship game appearance. They were a couple plays away from making the Super Bowl. Think about that. While the defense was very good, Blake Bortles, it was a fluke. Yeah. And the Jaguars have sucked ever since. And they sucked before that, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, my God, wow, AFC Championship game. Oh, we sucked again. Jaguars, 2 wins coming into this game. And they dominate Indianapolis. Indianapolis in a win-and-end situation.
Yep.
Indianapolis, a team that started 0-3 on the season,
Yep.
With losses to the Seahawks, Rams close, Titans by 9. Beat the Dolphins by 10, lose to the Ravens, murder the Texans, double-digit win over the 49ers. They lose to the Titans again. Beat the Jets by double digits, beat the Jags, kill the Bills.
They dropped 41 on the number 1 defense in the NFL.
Right. Lose a nail-biter to Tom Brady because they gave him the ball back with too much time.
Mm-hmm.
Drove the Texans, beat the Patriots, who at the time were America's team.
Yep, they were won like 6 straight or whatever.
Yep, beat the Cardinals. And then they come to these last 2 weeks of the season, and now they drop one to the Raiders. Okay.
That's tough.
Whatever. You still can make everything right. All you got to do is just beat the Jaguars, who are 2-14. And they lose 26-11. Carson Wentz sucks it up.
His passer rating was 4.
A perfect passer rating is 100. An average passer rating is 50. His was 4.
In a must-win game against the worst team in the league.
I strongly urge you, if you have not been watching this season, and I will admit I haven't seen a single episode of it, but Hard Knocks in season, they followed the Colts. I strongly encourage you to watch the final episode because I'm petty and I did. And that's the only one I'm going to watch. But there is a lot of things I like. Like I would 100% watch that no matter who it is. Like that's it's a really cool thing. But their preparation leading up to the game, obviously the biggest thing about this game, Colts have not won in Jacksonville since 2014. That still stands.
Mm-hmm.
And Frank Reich told them in the first team meeting when they started going over Jag stuff. And he told him, he said, I know you've heard it. If you hadn't heard it, where have you been? We haven't won in Jacksonville since 2014. Can we go down there and lose? Yes. I thought their preparation was great. Like they all acknowledged, the things that they had to do.
Yep.
All the players were saying we don't need to overlook this one. They understood the importance of it. And the coaches told them, like up and down, all practice, all week of practice. This is going to be a dogfight. This team is going to give you everything they got. They got nothing to play for. They would love nothing more than to spoil your season. That's exactly what they did. And watching the game from the Hard Knocks view, from the sidelines, listening to the players, it really gives you a in-depth look at how Jacksonville dominated the front. The Colts offensive line, as good as they are, couldn't do a single thing. Jonathan Taylor ran for sub 70 yards. Carson Wentz threw a pick, only had 185 yards. Like I said, QBR of 4. He was sacked 6 times. Mm-hmm. Excuse me, Jonathan Taylor did have 77 yards. My bad. You blew it. You blew it, Colts. You absolutely blew it. And I have a lot of Colt friends. I respect all my Colt friends. But screw you all. You deserve it. I do not care. After all the crap that was talked, there's tweets everywhere. This week has just been amazing. I've been retweeting every single Titans thing about Colt slander this, Colt slander that. There's a Colt tweet out there. Somebody replied to a Titans fan saying, "Hi, Colts don't lose to 2-win teams," talking about Tennessee losing to Houston. Suck it. You just lost to the 2-win Jaguars.
I just want to say, this gets funnier. 74 Florida residents go to TIAA Banks Field for a naturalization ceremony, which means they become U.S. citizens. And their first act as American citizens, they saw Carson Wentz do glads. Trevor Lawrence showed his potential finally without Urban Meyer on the sideline.
He did have a heck of a game.
And the Jags knocked the Colts out of the playoffs because Carson Wentz could not get it done. God bless the USA.
God bless America. And now you're looking at the guy that the Colts gave up a first and a third round pick. They do not have a first round pick this year because of Carson Wentz. And is he even going to be starting next year?
Mm-hmm. And the Eagles are in the playoffs.
And the Eagles are in the playoffs with the Colts draft pick. Wow.
Yep.
All right. Back to the original point. Colts lost. Pandemonium. Steelers, you're in.
For now.
As long as the Chargers and the Raiders don't tie. And boy, you couldn't have scripted this game any better, man. What a freaking game this was.
If this was if this wasn't in the back of your mind of going, please tie, this is the greatest regular season game of all time.
The craziest thing about it is that they were going to.
They were going to tie.
And the Chargers out-chargered themselves.
All you have to do is keep the clock running, and the Raiders are like, you know what, we're in. And then you made them mad enough to where they could run 2 more.
Right.
Games.
Derek Carr came out and said that they were, at that point in the game, they were completely fine and going to just have a tie.
Yep.
And both teams get in and Pittsburgh gets shafted. Would that not be great?
Yep.
Would that not just be amazing?
That's how Big Ben's career ends. He's asleep when this game's happening. And his career is over, and he can finally rest and unwrap the bubble wrap from his body and can go off into the distance and do whatever he wants without dying. But no, and instead of seeing Justin Herbert throw 60-yard missiles to Mike Williams, we get to see Big Ben try to throw a 3-yard screen while he's getting nailed in the head by the Kansas City defense.
Life is not fair.
I was talking to this. Already after 2 years, is Justin Herbert Phillip Rivers 2.0, in which he's going to throw a ton of yards, a ton of touchdowns, and his teams are going to let him down constantly? Because they already have.
Maybe.
It's only 2 years, and I get that. He's got a lot of time left to play. But after 2 years, he's thrown for 10,000 yards and has a 15-17 record.
Justin Herbert is way more electric than Phillip Rivers ever was.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not with his mannerisms and talking.
Yeah.
But with his ability, his ceiling is Phillip Rivers was great. Phillip Rivers was a very, 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 very good quarterback.
Yeah.
Obviously nothing to show for it, which is ultimately a travesty for how good he was in seasons and how effective their offense was. But I think Justin Herbert's ceiling is like Phillip Rivers, Justin Herbert.
Yeah. I just remember that 2010 season when the Chargers had the best offense and the best defense. They had the worst special teams, lost 3 games because of it, and missed the playoffs. Ridiculous, isn't it? All right, but just a little bit about this game. Raiders jumped out to a 10-0 lead at the end of the first quarter. Going into halftime, 17-14. Going into the fourth quarter, Raiders are now up 20-14. And then what do we get to after that? I think the Raiders ended up being up 29-14. Yeah.
After a Daniel Carlson 52-yard field goal and a Hunter Renfrow 2-yard touchdown catch from early in the fourth quarter. So Chargers drive all the way down the field, convert multiple fourth downs. This game's amazing. I'm completely sucked in at this point.
Yeah.
The Chargers go all the way down the field. 4th and 21, throw a 23-yard touchdown pass. We're here. 29-22, they get the 2-point conversion. And then they end up getting the ball back with no time left on the clock. Herbert rifles one into Mike Williams. 29-29.
Pass.
Yes, sir. 29-29. We will take it to overtime. Raiders get it first. Daniel Carlson hits a 40-yard field goal. Chargers, after a big Mike Williams catch on a 3rd or 4th down, get all the way down in field goal range, stall out. They kick a field goal with 4 minutes and 30 seconds left. We're tied at 32. At this point, like I get it. I completely understand why you would want to win yourself. You don't want to take the easy way out. It's unethical. I get that. Whatever. But at this point, you've traded field goals in overtime, and there's still time on the clock. Just run it out, man. And, that's kind of what Vegas did.
Vegas plan in this game.
They ran Jacobs, who had 132 yards, which has got to be a season high.
Mm-hmm.
Because he runs for like 50 every game. And they're going to run the clock out. I swear on everything that's holy, they're going to run the clock out. And the Chargers call timeout. Why?
There's no reason.
Why?
Clock was running. You both make the playoffs if the clock keeps running.
And they said, Brandon Staley said his reasoning behind it was so that they could stop and set up their run defense so that they could force the field goal try to be longer, which, okay. But even if the clock keeps running,
the Raiders aren't going to call timeout.
They're not going to call a timeout. And they're also, if they're going to run a play, they're going to probably do just another running play.
Mm-hmm. Or kneel.
And, you called a timeout to set up your run defense. And what does Josh Jacobs do? You set up your run defense and he runs for 10 yards.
Exactly.
What's the point? And then they Raiders stopped the clock and they kicked the ultimate middle finger field goal to knock the Chargers out.
I fully respect the Raiders for, after that, kicking the field goal. Be like, you know what? You don't get to go in the playoffs.
100%.
Full respect to the Raiders for doing that.
For as good as Brandon Staley is, they out-chargered themselves. The Chargers find stupid ways to lose, kind of like the Vikings.
Yep.
But they out-chargered themselves. They completely lost this game, and they deserve to be sitting at home. I hate it for Justin Herbert. I like him. I like Mike Williams. I like the Chargers in general. I think they're good. But
let's give a shout out to the state of South Carolina. This game was all over the field. Brian Edwards had 4 catches, 63 yards. Hunter Renfrow only had 4 catches, 13 yards, about 2 touchdowns. I think he's the first Raider in about 20 years to have 100 receptions in a season, which is insane because think about Hunter Renfrow's entire career.
Yeah.
Up to that point. And then, of course, Mike Williams, 9 catches, 119 yards and a touchdown. So the South Carolina boys get it done.
I've just accepted the fact that Hunter Renfrow, no matter where he goes, Hunter Renfrow could bounce between team after team after team after team and be the ultimate journeyman and play 12 years in the NFL for 8 different teams. And every year he would be a stud and just come up in clutch situations. That's just who he is.
If he ever plays for Tom Brady's final form will be achieved.
Oh, God.
I finally have the perfect short white wide receiver.
Imagine Tom on the verge of retirement in 8 years because he's going to play 8 more years till he's 50. Yep. And Hunter Renfrow will be what then, like 30?
Yeah, a little bit. Well,
maybe 32.
He's playing at Clemson since 1912.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Him and Brady are actually the same age.
Exactly.
But imagine them going out together and teaming up for one final run with the Bears and they win a Super Bowl which they're both 50 years old. And Tom Brady wins MVP and Renfrow wins Offensive Player of the Year because he has 1,800 receiving yards.
Brady has 6,000 passing yards, and 5,400 of them are to Hunter Renfrow.
Oh, man. All right. Well, that wraps up Week 18. So your playoffs, as it stands right now, coming into this week in the AFC, we'll start there. The 1 seed, Tennessee Titans. I'm just happy to be here. Kansas City Chiefs, 2 seed. Buffalo Bills, 3 seed. Bengals, 4 seed. Raiders, 5 seed. So that win over the Chargers did put them at the 5 seed. And I think if they'd have tied, what would they have been, the 7 or something like that? They would have
been 7 seed and would have played the Chiefs because the Chargers would have played the Bills.
Right. So, and then 6 seed Patriots, 7 seed, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Somehow, some way, this team that tied the Lions and has looked like complete and utter trash all year, it seems like, is in the playoffs.
So there is, and we'll get to the NFC. We've already said the Eagles made the playoffs too. There's a path for Eagles and Steelers in the Super Bowl.
God.
I want the Bills, of course. I want the Bills to win the Super Bowl. I'm willing to sacrifice that to get Eagles Steelers. You know
what's crazy? Because those 2 fan bases are massive and there's fans of those teams everywhere.
Yeah.
That game would be probably one of the most watched Super Bowls.
Yeah. It'd be the ugliest one of all time.
But if you got a Super Bowl between, let's say, the Titans and then the Cardinals.
Yeah.
No one would watch that outside of me.
Yeah.
And
that's people just watching the Super Bowl.
Because that would actually be a game between 2 teams that have been pretty good. And whatever. But that's just how it is. But that's the AFC. And then where am I at? NFC. 1 seed Packers, 2 seed Tom Brady, 3 seed the Dallas Cowboys, who they have to show up in the playoffs.
They have got to win this game.
If they first round one and done it, I already don't respect them. I definitely
Stephen A. Smith's going to ascend.
Oh God, what a first take that's going to be.
He comes back to first take the Monday after the playoffs, and I really hope the Cowboys lose for that one.
Rams coming at the 4 seed, Cardinals 5, 49ers 6, Eagles 7. So your matchups are Eagles at Tampa Bay, tough. 49ers at Cowboys, fun, very, very intriguing. And Cardinals, Rams, round 3. I like it.
On Monday Night Football. First Monday Night Football playoff game.
It's going to be a wild weekend, man. Yeah. AFC matchups, obviously. Chiefs, Steelers, tough Steelers. Round 3, Patriots, Bills, and Raiders Bengals, which I think is going to be highly intriguing.
Yeah, your Saturday is Raiders, Bengals, and Patriots, Bills. That Saturday is a great Saturday of football. Yeah. That's going to be insane.
Here's something else of note. All the teams in the NFC have a positive point differential, but there are 2 teams in the AFC that have a negative point differential, and they are the Steelers, who are point differential is negative 55, and the Raiders, whose point differential is negative 65.
All right, then.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
I love the Steelers. I was watching SportsCenter. Ben Roethlisberger said it's basically been like, "Yeah, we're not winning this game."
Yeah,
but if they do, it's going to be he's just going to be like, "Help, let me retire, please."
Also, something else of note: Jaguars' points differential this year was negative 204. So,
and they beat the Bills,
and they beat the Colts. Oh man! All right, yeah, NFL, cool. This weekend's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm excited.
Yeah, gonna be a lot of fun for the playoffs for sure. You get to relax this weekend a little bit.
Yeah, thank God.
And me, I get to watch the Bills and the Patriots again because that's perfect for my blood pressure.
It's gonna be a great time.
Yeah. That's your NFL roundup, and this is a normal show. We'd probably get more into the college football, and the bowl results, national championships. We'll just say this: Georgia got it done. Very surprised.
Georgia did do it.
Got it done. So congrats to Georgia. I hate it, but you know what?
I don't much like it either. And obviously I'm a South Carolina fan, and then the trope around the rest of the country is, a big trope that I've gotten over the years is South Carolina fans' favorite team is South Carolina and also Alabama. Blah, blah, blah. But I pulled for Alabama in this game simply because I had money on it. But at the end of the day, I really don't care. And at the end of the day, I hate Georgia more than I dislike Alabama. So I'm not going to pull for Georgia. But you know what, Georgia, good for you. You did it 41 years. You finally got one. Obviously, you've had some great teams in the past 4 or 5 years in Kirby's tenure, and you could have done it in 2017. You came real close. But this one was for all them boys. This one was for Matthew Stafford, Nick Chubb, everybody.
Todd Gurley, all of them. That's crazy to think that those teams that Mark Richt had that couldn't get it done.
Oh, I know.
Gone back to resurgence, just couldn't get it done.
I know.
We'll see. And of course, Stetson Bennett, I said I didn't know if he was the guy, and he proved me wrong. He was the guy that night.
What a story. All
you gotta be walk-on quarterback, wins the title. Also, Darion Kendrick, former Clemson player, wins his second title at a different school, which is a rare thing to see. So
had a heck of an Orange Bowl, and then
had a good game.
did not allow a catch in the national title game. There was something else I was going to say. Oh shoot, I can't remember.
This means Will Muschamp will get another SEC coaching job within the next 2 years because he has another national. Hey, maybe this time, let's see. Florida was pretty up there. South Carolina, we talk about them. They're kind of at the bottom of the SEC. Next is Vandy, probably. So maybe at least it'll be Vandy.
Please do it.
Where he has no help at all. But watch what if he turns Vandy around to a powerhouse.
Could the Jacksonville Jaguars come calling?
I saw something. I think Shutdown Fullcast said this. He's the special teams coach or defensive whatever. And they never showed him at all in the broadcast. They hid that man somewhere in the stadium. So you have nothing to do with this game. Don't touch anything. Yeah. Let us do whatever we want.
Man, screw him. That's the. I was pulling so hard for Alabama because I don't want Will Muschamp to have anything nice. And I'm sorry that's mean, but I don't care. He sucks.
You can't spell national champs without Will Muschamp.
I remember when that meant something to me back in 2015. I really thought this was going to be it. Like we were going to figure it out. Yeah, and then we went 9-4 one year, and the rest of the time.
Yeah, so we'll go on to college. I'll start with we're going to just do Clemson and South Carolina right here. We'll do a more in-depth bowl analysis later when we're not tired as we're recording at 9:55 p.m. and we have work tomorrow. That's going to be fun. We'll look at the Cheez-It Bowl first between Clemson and Iowa State. Everybody figured this would be a low-scoring game, and guess what? It was a low-scoring game, but Clemson is able to edge out Iowa State 20-13. This game was 6-3 at halftime, baby. Just love that.
Let's go football.
Yep. Clemson got all the way up to 20-3 lead thanks to a Will Shipley run, and then Mario Goodrich makes a pick on the funniest play by Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy, what are you doing,
son? The ball gets tipped, and Brock Purdy, instead of let's knock it down or let's catch it,
volleyball set.
Yeah, volleyball set, beautiful volleyball set, right to Mario Goodrich, the best defensive player on the field, and Mario Goodrich runs it back for a touchdown. Gives Clemson the big 20-3 lead. Iowa State's able to cut down to 20-13 because Clemson's goal in life is we have some momentum. Now let's throw a pick. That's every Clemson football game this year has been, all right, we got momentum now. We're going to stop doing whatever we want to on doing offense for the rest of this game and make you sweat. And they did. And then again, Brock Purdy, because Brock Purdy's not a normal quarterback. He can't do anything normal. Right. It's 4th and 2, rolls out, can run it for a first down, keep the play alive. There's no timeout, so there's still about 40 seconds left. Chance to keep the play alive. Rolls out, and he just drops the football. It rolls backwards 2 yards, or gets knocked out of his hand. It rolls backwards 2 yards, and instead of picking it up and trying to get back to the first down, he falls on it, and game's over.
Yep.
And that's how Brock Purdy's career ends at Iowa State.
Yeah.
I feel like that man has never thrown a normal interception. He had that one against TCU where he was falling backwards.
Yeah.
Right off the guy's helmet or something. Yeah. Brock Purdy's a hilarious quarterback, is what I'm saying. And I think he should have been Iowa State quarterback forever. But yeah, Clemson offensively, hey, listen, everybody was saying Clemson. I was saying Clemson should have run the triple option toward the end of the year. And they basically did at the end of the year. They had 128 yards rushing on 40 carries. They ran the ball 40 times. Will Shipley, 18 carries, 61 yards, and a touchdown. Kobe Pace, 12 carries, 51 yards. And DJ had 6 carries for 12 yards. Phil Maffa, only 2 carries, but for 7 yards. Dakari Collins had a good day catching the ball. 6 catches, 56 yards. Had a really good one-handed catch, too, on the sideline. Bo Collins had 3 catches for 20 yards. Will Sweeney, who is starting at this point in the year, only had 1 catch for 11 yards. I think it's good that he only had 1 catch because that means we have to throw it to him. Iowa State, of course, no Breece Hall, but decided to throw it a lot. And Brock Purdy, 23-39, 204, and a touchdown off that pick. This was a weird, boring game. I will give it to Iowa State's defense. They are, as advertised, they're very good. Bo Freiler had 15 tackles.
Yeah.
He's insane. He's one of their best players. But Clemson's defense, of course, great. James Skalski, unfortunately, got hurt, tore his PCL in the second quarter, had to leave the game, but only had 2 tackles. So I hate that's the way his career ends.
Yeah, I do too.
Clemson. But Trenton Simpson, good to see him making plays. He had 6 tackles. Keith McGuire, who's a young guy that had to step up this year, had a great game. Miles Murphy had a great game as usual. KJ Henry, who's coming back for Clemson, which is huge for them, had a sack in this one. And then, of course, Mark Goodrich only had 1 tackle, but was good on the defensive side, breaking up passes. Of course, had that pick and forced that fumble. He got the Cheez-It Bowl Cheese VP, got the belt, and wins that one. And then, of course, DJ goes 21-32 for 187 and no touchdowns and a pick. He did fine, other than that pick, which was a ball he shouldn't have thrown. He had some plays that looked good, had some drops. Again, though he talked about their receivers didn't help him much this year. But, DJ this year was not great. And it's a big step down, of course. Anybody's going to be a step down from Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence. And, of course, before that, Taj Boyd, 3 straight cycles. Yeah. I had 2,246 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 10 picks. And rushed for, I'm not sure, I don't see his full rushing stat. Pull that up. Rushing wise, he had 308 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Not great. The big time sophomore slump. But the offense, and everybody getting on Tony Elliott before he left about, this offense stinks. What are we doing? They changed their offense to a power running offense.
Yeah.
In the middle of the season and won their last 6 games. Clemson has the longest winning streak in the nation right now.
Yeah.
And that is shocking. But when you think about Cincinnati lost, Alabama lost, Georgia lost the game in this championship.
Mm-hmm.
So Clemson has the longest winning streak in the nation at 6 games. So they have momentum to build off of. And if you look at Clemson's overall season, they're a pick 6 away. Reverse that, maybe it's a field goal from beating Georgia.
Yeah.
6-3 or 10-3. And then a overtime stop away from beating NC State. Pitt was the only game they got blown out. And so again, 10-3, while not where you want to be for Clemson, 10-3 and a top 20 finish. I think they finished number 14 or 15 in the country.
Mm-hmm.
For a bad year, that's a solid year. Now, you don't want to make that acceptable again, because that was acceptable in Tommy Bowden.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy Bowden, you were just happy to get 9 wins. Yeah. You got 9 wins, and you beat South Carolina. That's all you wanted. Maybe you look good in your bowl game. But I know their standard. Again, best is the standard is the Clemson phrase. You got to get that. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the quarterback situation because no Tyson Palmachuk, he's transferred out.
Yeah.
And Cade Klubnik, who looked fantastic in the All-America game, is coming in. And, they may throw him into the fire and let him start first. We'll see what happens. Or maybe like a Deshaun Watson, Cole Stout situation where first couple of games you kind of feel it out and somebody wins the job. So, or Kelly Bryant and Trevor Lawrence. So,
yeah.
But all in all, again, I am disappointed that Clemson, of course, didn't make a national championship or make the playoff. But again, with everybody out, I think going into that game, Clemson had 29 players out at the start of the year. And they lost 2 more in the game. And in spite of all of that, in spite of their own ineptitude, I think Wes Goodwin showed he's still a solid defensive coordinator in this one. Again, not against a great offense. I get it. But still got the stops when they needed to. And Brandon Streeter, I think, called a good enough game for what he had. And now, they have hired a new defensive line coach, which will be interesting to see from Auburn. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I think I'm excited for Clemson next year. But again, 10-3, that's a solid year. That's a solid year for sure, especially in what was a rough start to the season.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've said it all year, but Clemson, in what is considered by their standards that they've set, which is high, they've set the standard that, this is a down year and they still win double-digit games. So,
yeah. I mean, beat the AC Atlantic champion Wake Forest, beat them too.
And a lot of uncertainty with the offense throughout the year, but that eventually towards the end of it, they changed some things and they started to figure it out. And Clemson was still Clemson and got a bowl win and 10 wins. I think in a season like this, you couldn't ask for much better.
Yeah, that's all I can ask for. And so, good year, I think. Get a bowl win, beat South Carolina, and again, 6-game winning streak to end the year, and they won 8 of the last 9.
Yeah,
after starting off 2-2, so that's solid. Only bad loss is to Pitt, 10-point loss. So I think again, solid year. A lot of close games, but able to finish up. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next year. Speaking of a team looking to build on to next year, team of the year probably has the coach of the year, guy who I think should be the national coach of the year. South Carolina, they get the 6-6, get to a bowl game, get to the Duke's Mayo Bowl, and they have to play North Carolina. North Carolina coming in, it's Sam Howell's final game in a Tar Heel uniform, most likely. South Carolina is kind of banged up going into this game. And, of course, they come off the big news of Spencer Rattler coming in. Got some recruits. But you got to see what's going to happen with the hype with this team one final time, and you can clinch a winning season. And South Carolina did with authority in the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Kind of walk us through this one.
Yeah, man. So, coming into this game, things obviously, last game of the year against Clemson, we didn't score it. We didn't score it all. Everybody's dejected, a 30-0 loss where, I would have at least expected Carolina to score something. It's just another year. And, all right, here we are. Oh, and now we got the bowl game. Oh, we're going to Charlotte, a place that we have not fared well. And we're playing a familiar opponent in North Carolina who is so bipolar. Like, I mean, obviously at the beginning of the year, they were preseason, 5? And, they have talent and they have a very good quarterback in Sam Howell, a good NFL prospect. And they just had an up and down year. But, going into this game, I didn't really know what we were going to see. Like, I mean, I felt like North Carolina could have come out here and looked like the number 5 team in the country. It's just how they've been all year. But this game, I'm going to start off by saying this. South Carolina wins the game, obviously. I don't think South Carolina's season could have ended any better than it did.
Yeah.
This is just tops. I mean, but South Carolina jumps out to an 18-0 lead in the first quarter after just some wild scenarios here. South Carolina comes out there starting Zeb Nolan, our favorite grad assistant. But they're also mixing it up, throwing DeKerion Joyner, who we've talked about a little bit on here. High school quarterback out of the state of South Carolina, went to Fort Dorchester High School, only lost 3 games as a starter, all to Dutch Fork, who, if you don't know, has been the dynasty in South Carolina for the past, 9 years?
Something like that.
And DeKerion Joyner comes to South Carolina. He has the win over Georgia when Muschamp was here. He played quarterback because of a litany of injuries. But he hasn't seen a lot of time at quarterback at South Carolina. He's been converted to a wide receiver. Honestly, I like the kid and everything. He's not a great wide receiver, blah, 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 whatever. I've said that a lot. They put him in some wildcat formations. He comes in, plays quarterback. He throws a 69-yard bomb to Jaheim Bell, which gets us rolling. 3 plays, 96 yards in 1:46 after North Carolina punts. And it's 7-0 Carolina. And I'm just, okay. I like it. North Carolina gets the ball back. They punt. And then now you got old grad assistant Colonel Zeb Nolan out here spinning it to guess who? Jaheim Bell, 66-yard touchdown pass to make it 15-7 because they go for 2 because why not? And they get it. And another 3 plays. South Carolina has ran 6 plays, have scored 2 touchdowns. They've ran 2 pass plays. They're 2 of 2 for whatever the math is, 130-something yards, 2 touchdowns. It's 15-0, and we just started. What's going on?
Yeah.
This is not South Carolina football. What is this? And we add another field goal after a 54-yard 9-play drive in the first quarter. It's 18-0. North Carolina scores a 63-yard touchdown run, and this is when I'm thinking, all right, okay, here's where North Carolina makes it a game. Here we go. North Carolina gets another field goal. It's 18-10, and then South Carolina breaks off a 75-yard drive in 6 plays with 2 minutes left in the second quarter to go up 25-10. North Carolina gets a field goal. It's 25-13 at half. Hey, we're cool. Sitting pretty. Kevin Harris, 1-yard touchdown run to start the third quarter on a 5-minute drive, 32-13. North Carolina scores another touchdown. Parker White, all-time points leader in South Carolina history now, tacks on 2 field goals in the fourth quarter to seal this one, 38-21. Just in all facets, South Carolina played an amazing game. DeKerion Joyner was 9 of 9 passing for 160 and a touchdown. Zeb Nolan was 3 of 6 for 82 yards and a touchdown, but the running game. What a swan song for Kevin Harris, who ended up declaring for the NFL draft. 31 carries, 182 yards, and a touchdown for him. Good for him. He obviously had a monster season last year. Did not have as great a season this year, but he went out on top. So good for him. Joyner also added 10 carries for 64 yards. He was the MVP of the game. He is also a funny stat, crazy thing. He has signed an NIL deal with Duke's Mayo, and you can buy autographed things of mayonnaise.
That's awesome.
For like $30 with his autograph on it, which I just think is so amazing. But it's like a $5,000 deal. Like he's getting $5,000 to promote Duke's mayonnaise like that. I want that. I love Duke's. That's amazing. Good for you, DeKerion Joyner. You're living my dream. Jaheim Bell, 5 receptions for 159 yards, 2 touchdowns. He showed flashes all year of where he could be a big play, bigger wide receiver, tight end type. Like he's kind of like a tight end wide receiver hybrid.
Yeah.
Somebody like, obviously this is a stretch comparison because he's not in any way, near shape or form as good as Kyle Pitts, but that kind of player that has the size but also the speed to where he could play tight end, he could play wide receiver, blah blah blah. You get it. So, but this was just a great day for South Carolina football, man. And Shane Beamer getting the mayonnaise bath afterwards was amazing. They gave him a concussion while they did it. They dropped it on his head, but the mayonnaise covered over him is just a great image to cap off what a season for the Gamecocks.
I've told y'all, Shane Beamer is very likable, and I hate that because the South Carolina coach is not supposed to be likable for me. But he has so many memes because there's the one of his weird face he made in the press conference, I think, earlier in the year. Kind of looks like Frank Beamer.
Yeah, then, where he's talking about whatever it was, talking about Georgia or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was Georgia, yeah. And then, of course, him with Sir Big Spur and the post game.
Amazing. Love it. That's such a good picture.
And then, of course, him covered in mayonnaise is just hilarious.
What a season. Yeah. What a season, man. Carolina, it couldn't have ended better. The state of South Carolina football is the best it's been in literally years. And it's so nice, finally. Now, obviously, we know that this is a long process. The addition of Spencer Rattler and Austin Stogner, that does not mean that Rattler is going to be a Heisman candidate again. That does not mean that he's going to win the Heisman. That does not mean that Carolina has a winning season next year. None of that matters until the cleats hit the turf and we play football. But you got to start somewhere. And in terms of recruiting, this was a massive game for that because obviously you recruit right out of each other's backyards, North Carolina, South Carolina. Big game for that. Getting Rattler to come to Carolina, no matter how it turns out, a 5-star caliber prospect like he was coming to Columbia, that's enough to get the ball rolling, sway some other players maybe to decide to come to Carolina if they want to play with him. Everything, you have to start somewhere. And this is a fantastic start. The season couldn't have ended any better. Also want to shed some light. Beamer has also got to be the MVP of the transfer portal so far. If you ask me, I mean, obviously Rattler, Stogner, massive commits.
Running back from Wake Forest.
Commits from Oklahoma. And they've also added 4 other ones. So running back Christian Bill Smith, who was the leading rusher for Wake Forest for the past 2 years, in his 6th and final year, will be coming to Carolina, coming to Columbia to run the football. Also, a defensive end, Terrell Dawkins from NC State. He has 3 years of eligibility left, coming down to Columbia to play. And also a safety from Central Michigan, Devonnie Reed, who has 1 year left. He started all 43 games he played for the Chippewas. Had 281 tackles, 7.5 for loss, one sack, had 3 picks, 11 passes defended, 2 fumble recoveries in his time at Central Michigan. And a wide receiver, Antoine Wells from James Madison, FCS, one of the FCS powerhouses, who is moving up to FBS here soon, right? I think.
Yeah, they moved to the Sun Belt in a couple of years. Yeah.
But from James Madison, he's got 3 years left. And he entered the transfer portal on the 5th. He had offers from Auburn, Miami, North Carolina, Mississippi State, Virginia Tech, and Louisville, and he decided to come to Columbia, South Carolina. So more power to him. He also established school records with 83 receptions for 1,250 yards and 15 touchdowns in helping lead his team to the FCS semifinals, where they lost to North Dakota State and a number 3 end-of-season ranking. So, you can't say enough, man. I'm excited. The commitment, like from Stone Blanton, the kid out of Mississippi who 4-star linebacker, but he's also coming to Carolina to play baseball. I'm hearing a ton of good things about him as well. Just the season couldn't have ended on a better note, man. The state of Carolina football is unlike it's been since 2013, honestly, in my eyes. Just how it feels. Obviously, I don't think we're going to come out next year and win 11 games. If we do, praise Jesus. But no shot. It's a long process, but you got to start somewhere, and we're off to a great start. I'm so happy. I don't even know what else to say.
Yeah, and of course, I want to give one final shout out, of course, to the official athlete, South Carolina athlete of this podcast, Jalen Foster, finishing his career at South Carolina, declared for the draft. Former Gardner-Webb walk-on. Was a walk-on at Gardner-Webb, won Big South Defensive Player of the Year, transferred to South Carolina, finally got a great season this year under Beamer. Finishes the year with 66 solo tackles, 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 5 interceptions, and 3 pass deflections.
Yes, sir.
I hope this kid gets a chance in the NFL.
I do too.
And is a heck of a person, heck of a player. And again, that's the official athlete of Breakfast Time Waffle and Richard. Of course, been singing his praises all year. Good to see him. He went out. He had a great game too, 6 tackles and a pass breakup in that game, Duke's Mayo Bowl victory against North Carolina. So good to see him go out like that. But yeah, South Carolina next year, going to be interesting to watch what they can do. That entire SEC East, I think, is going to be interesting to watch next year. And of course, if you look at the schedule, non-conference is a lot easier.
Yeah.
You get a lot of those favorable matchups at home. Mm-hmm. So that'll be interesting to see if they can take the step forward and win some of those games that were close last year, some of those rivals that they've just been a thorn in the side. South Carolina the past few years.
Tough couple first games. I mean, you start with Georgia State, who is, led by former Gamecock offensive line coach and interim head coach, Sean Elliott. Mm-hmm. But then you got to go to Arkansas, who, like we've talked about a lot, way ahead of schedule, is Arkansas. So that'll be a dogfight. And then you come back to face the national champs at home on the 17th in Georgia before playing Charlotte and South Carolina State, and then diving right back into SEC play. So
Yes, it'll be interesting to see what they can do to finish up the year. But, good year for South Carolina. State of South Carolina had a good bowl season. State of South Carolina goes 4-0 in bowl season. All 4 teams that can go to bowl games made a bowl game. I can go to South Carolina State with the Celebration Bowl. And then, of course, Coastal Carolina won their bowl game over North of Illinois. So, State of South Carolina looked really good. And for the future is bright. Of course, a lot of high school talent here. And, of course, we'll talk a lot more about South Carolina State, Coastal, and all the bowl games later on, but it is late.
It is.
I got to wake up early and go film a track meet tomorrow, so that's going to be
fun. I got to go rent some cars, maybe.
Yeah. So that's going to do it. Hopefully the football is great this weekend in the NFL. Playoff time is always fun.
Can't wait.
Let's get some snow up here. I think y'all going to get like ice and stuff down there. So.
Well, they're calling for Greenwood, specifically where I'm at, like less than an inch, but Greenville, like 5 inches, and then like Asheville, 20 inches in Asheville, North Carolina. So it's going to be wild.
Yeah, we're getting 4 to 8 inches, I think, of snow is what we're scheduled to get up here in Jefferson City. So we're right on the line where it's going to be a lot or a little. So we had snow 3 times last week.
Right.
So that's going to be wild. So hopefully everybody stays safe. And that if you're in those conditions, but hopefully you enjoy the NFL playoffs this weekend. We all have a lot of fun, and we will see you next week. We'll break down the Bills results, we'll look at who the Titans are going to play, and we will talk bowl games. And of course, since we're deep into it, college basketball season as we get rolling along here in Breakfast Time Waffle and Richard. Great to be back. And we'll see you next time for another episode. Thank you for watching and listening.
One thing before we go, Memphis Grizzlies. Run up in your trap, take over your trap. Watch out.
John Morant, NBA All-Star, bucket, MVP right there.
Watch out. This team is nasty, son.
They've, as of recording time, have won 10 straight. They are playing at another level. They've beaten the Lakers and the Warriors in that stretch, too. So, go Grizz.
Yes, sir.
Next week.
You've been listening to Breakfast Time with Waffle and Richard. Logos designed by Jen Perry. You can follow Richard on Twitter at Ricardo_knows or on Instagram at RNM1996. Catch up with Waffle at WaffDog on Twitter. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on this Bearded Broadcaster production.